Hi, my name's Bill Harper. I'm a customer success specialist working on Splunk AppDynamics. We're going through this integration and extending AppDynamics series, and this is going to be part 2. We've done part 1, and that can be viewed in reference to. The agenda for these series is really how do you extend the Splunk AppDynamics platforms. We're going to go through the different types of integrations one by one in each of the bite-sized chunks that we'll be delivering, as well as a short demo on each of those types of integrations to give you an idea of what that integration looks like. So extending Splunk AppDynamics, we've gone through this in the other video, but there's several ways to extend the platform. We're going to introduce you to some of the different options at a high level so that you better understand what the capabilities are when you want to integrate with Splunk AppDynamics. We'll give some examples along the way, and we'll close each of the short sections off with a small demo. So we've gone through the first chunk here, built-in integration modules that are built in to the platform itself. And this series here, we're going to be looking at API integrations. These are RESTful public APIs that can be used to retrieve data, to set up configurations and other things. API integrations. Splunk AppDynamics has a robust public set of APIs. APIs can be used by customers and partners. APIs support basic and OAuth authentication. APIs can be used to configure AppDynamics. APIs can also be used to extract APM performance data, including BT performance, metrics performance, alerting and response, and much, much more. This is just sort of scratching the surface on what the capabilities of the API. These APIs are mainly used by partners and customers to do automation. Partners more for integrating their tools with our platform, and customers may want to use the APIs to go automate a task. Say they're going to do maintenance and they want to disable all their health rules so none of them go off during the maintenance period. Maybe they have a Ansible playbook or something like that that they can run to basically go make an API call to turn all the health rules off. It can be done through the GUI as well, but a lot of customers like to automate things with the API. These are the different API categories for the AppDynamics RESTful APIs. These are considered the controller APIs. So we have APIs for the account. We have APIs for the application model, which allows you to look at like the tiers and the nodes and the business transactions within each application. There are API for grabbing metrics and looking at snapshots. There's APIs for alerting and responding, and configuration API, configure import export API. Like if you're going to import like a template, HTTP template, you can do that through an API. And there's an analytics API that can be used for the integrations. Next, we're going to jump into a demo. Next, we're going to show you a demonstration of how the APIs work, making a few API calls, focusing on some areas here, using a tool called Postman, which most people should be familiar with. It's rather popular in the industry to make RESTful API calls into AppDynamics. The first thing we're going to do is, I always like to look at this from the application lens. We're going to basically list all the applications that are in the controller that I work with. And here's the controller host, and here's the API call. It's a GET call. We're going to go ahead and execute that. And what you're going to see here is a list of all the applications that are in the controller. Here's an SAP Lab. Here's AD Games Inc. Dev, Pet Clinic Jenkins. So there's a whole bunch of different applications in here. Note the application ID, because this is the reference point to go into the particular application. If you want to see like the backends, the tiers, and the nodes, you'll have to pick an application and do that with. And that's what we're going to do next. We're just going to go ahead and grab an application. This application here, 8353, this is AD capital Docker-Ohio. I'm going to run a command, and you can see here we're just basically getting back the API call. This one I will put a note on it. I've done in JSON just to show you the flexibility. These API calls can return either XML or JSON. This one I wanted to show how the JSON part worked. So we've done that. We've gotten an application. Let's next get all the tiers for that application, that same application. Again, that application, AD capital Docker Ohio. These are all the tiers in there. You can see loan processing services. You can see verification, portal. Let's next just get a single tier. You can just get a single tier using that ID. So here we just got the authentication. Lastly, what we're going to do is we're just going to get all the nodes that are in there. So you can see here, the nodes, just make a note here, the nodes are associated to the tier. So there's an association between the tier ID and the node ID. Remember, everything using this API, you're basically using IDs to identify things that you want to take a look at. Next, what I want to do is I want to look at the business transaction API call. Well, before we do that, I want to do one more. I want to look at backends. Backends are databases, message queues, and foreign API calls. I basically said, give me all the backends for that same application. And you can see here, there's a database, information about the database. There's another database in there. So you can see here's a message queue, AMQP message queue. So you can see the data we can get back. So that's sort of navigating the topology of an application within AppDynamics. Next, I'm going to jump into business transactions. And the first thing I'm going to do is for that same application, 8353, list all the business transactions that are running in that application. And you can see here, it lists them off. Here's a customer login one. There's an associated tier to where that business transaction initiates. And that's looking at all the business transactions. We can get particular ones if we want. So if we wanted to just to get one, and I've this for the credit check business transaction, we could just go get that particular transaction. Next, what I'd like to show you is something maybe a little bit more practical, is around health rules. I'm going to go get all the health rules. Let's clear this out and run the API call again. We're going to get all the health rules for, again, that same application. So this is going to show you all the health rules here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how you can disable. You can disable them all at once, or you can disable them one by one. And this is something that you might want to use if you're going through like an outage or something like that, and you don't want any health rules shooting off while you're going through that outage. So I'm first going to disable that CPU utilization rule. Let me clear off the output there. And we'll run that again. And you will see here that enabled is false, which means the health rule's been disabled. We're going to turn right back around again and just re-enable it, just so you can see that part of the API. So again, we've enabled it. You can see it's enabled as true. And that's a little bit about, using this for a practical matter. Maybe it's something you want to script out or something like that. Last thing I want to show you is pushing data into AppDynamics through what we call an event. And when you push data in from the outside world, it's labeled a custom event here. And you can see the API call here. There's a bunch to it. I'll open it up a little bit more so you can see it. And basically, it's going to send in a security alert, and it's going to have this comment here, Raptor found security violation. We have a couple of them we're going to go ahead and send in. So we'll send that in a couple times. I've gotten another one down here where I've changed the text on it to be API demo example. We're going to run that again. We'll run that a few times. And we can see we're getting successful events created in AppDynamics. What I want to do next is I want to show you where that data ends up in AppDynamics. We've sent that data against the same application we've been looking at the whole time, AD Capital, Docker, Ohio. So let's go into that application. And we should see those events in the application. What we need to first do is to open the filter so we can see events. Hit apply. And we can see those are some of the events that we just sent in through the API call. We look in the last hour, the last 5 minutes, we sent those 4 in. And if you can actually double click into these and get more information if there was more information in the summary. And that's it for looking at the APIs in AppDynamics. I want to thank you guys for listening in, and we'll be back to do part 3.